Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and in today's video we're going to look at scripts and tools to find user permissions. So in this one I've broken it down into two different categories. One are some free tools and the other one is some easy scripts. So they'll help you to identify all the users, their permissions at the environment level and at the entire Power Platform level. So before I jump in, first, here's my intro. So about the two tools that I talked about, one of them is my infamous XRM toolbox. But one of the things is most of them mostly come at the environment level, and I'll show you that. But the other one is my even higher infamous one, which is a Center of Excellence. It's a free tool, but some assembly is required. And I'll show you that piece over there. Next is the scripts. Now there's two types of scripts over there. One is a single line of code, but it provides that little extra information that you actually may not need. However, there's the second script, which is a few extra lines over there, but that provides all the details that you need. So I'm going to actually show you both of them. All right, so now that you have a good understanding of what I'm going to do, let's go and jump into that. So the first things first is the tools. The tools. So the first one is basically, let me just go through the Center of Excellence. So as you know that in the Center of Excellence, there's a whole section available over here. I've put the link to this in the chat. There's videos done on that. There's events at, there's sessions at events which you can talk about that. But what I want to give you an overview is that there is some assembly required, which means you download that. You've got to initially run some scripts. The scripts would go ahead and set up all the entities. Basically, it sets up all the plumbing that you need to do. And then after that, it goes ahead and sets up the flows that go ahead and run. And then all said and done, you're going to get a nice Power BI report like this. Now, this is my personal favorite because it provides everything. It provides from environment level, Power Apps, Power Automates, who are the champions over there, the whole 9 yards. It really does a great job. But like I said, some plumbing is required. But I highly recommend two things. Definitely use it. Second thing is set it up as a separate environment altogether. An environment which only the Power Platform admins have that access. A separate environment is because it does go ahead and set up its own entities. It sets up its own security roles. That's why it's best that you put this in a separate environment so that it doesn't affect any of your production apps or things like that. That's my recommendation, but I highly recommend using this, and more iterations of this come out over there. So kind of keep up with the community to see all these things coming out. All right, so that's the first piece. The second one that I want to talk about is the XRM Toolbox. Now you've probably heard me talk about this XRM Toolbox so many times, but I want to talk about very specific tools over there. So in the XRM Toolbox, there are specifically two types of tools which are available over there. And as you can see, it opened up. I've also gone ahead and updated that to the latest version. When it opened up, you must have seen that it was initially only for dynamic CRM, but now it has added that, well, not now, but it's been a while, almost over a year though. It's added the section for Power Platform over there because it also has its own system administration side. Now, specifically for security piece, one of the ones that I really like is right here. It's called Access Security Roles. And you may have actually seen me even use something called User Security Manager. In fact, there was a picture in the Hidden Gems that I talked about a while back. But for this sec, I want to actually talk about the Access Security Roles. So when you come in and you go ahead and open up the XRM Toolbox, this library automatically opens up. And in the library, it'll actually say you can go and select which one you want, and then you can go ahead and install it. Kind of comes as a package. So in my case, I've already got the Access Security Roles. That's why it's grayed out. But that's the one I would like you to go ahead and have. Now, let me show you what all that can do. So now that I've gone ahead and have it installed, I click on it. It says, do you want to connect to an organization first? By organization, it means an environment. So I go ahead and click on that. And here, if you made any connections in the past, it actually makes it easier for you to remember that connection. So you can always just go and click on it. Depending on if you saved your authentication or not, you don't have to even authenticate in, but it just makes it easier for you not to repeat your tasks again. So I come over here now and I do a new connection, and I just use the connection wizard. Now in the connection wizard over here, it tells you that I need the organization URL, and then if there is any authentication required, which is what I was talking about, it gives you the option to even save it. So this URL, Daniel, where do I get this URL? I'll show you. So let's go back in over here, and I'll actually grab one of my example tenants that I have. And when I logged in, I'm going to go ahead and grab the USS Enterprise. So if any of you have seen my Power Apps permissions for user level, this was actually the one I used over there. So just thought you would know. I come over here now. I've first selected the environment. I've come over here, and I'm going to the admin center. When I go to the admin center, it will actually provide me that URL. So come over here to the environments, and then I select that USS environment. When I go to the USS environment, it gives me that admin URL. So when I select it, it actually opens up over here. So this is where I can go and do a click on it, highlight it, Control C for copy. And then you can let it load, or you can just go and cancel it because you got the URL. And it's actually this exact same URL over here. All right. So now that I've grabbed it, I come over here and I go ahead and paste it. The whole thing. I can click next. And then this is where I put in my authentication. This is your Office 365 authentication that you put in. It is necessary that you need to have at least a Power Platform admin level. You could have a Power Platform admin, you can have a Dynamics 365 admin, you can have a global admin, but just for the sake of this, you need to have at least one of those. I personally have the Power Platform admin, so I'm going to go in over here. I'm going to go and put in my password. And this is what I was saying, is that save password as an encrypted string in connection file. So that way you don't have to go and put that in again and again. I'll leave that up to you. So now it's going ahead and trying to connect to your common data service environment. And then once it does, it goes ahead and pulls all this information. It also gives you the saying, hey, connection is validated. Do you want to put something in? And I'll say, yep, that was my USS Enterprise environment. And I'll just do that. Finish. And it loads it up over here. Now, when it loads it up, it's done something, but I don't know exactly what it did. So what you have to do is you got to come over here and say load roles and entities. So I select that. It says, okay, it's going ahead and gathering all the information. And this is what I was talking about, is now I can come in over here. I can say things such as security administrator. When I click on the security administrator, I say show permissions. And these are the type of permissions that are available over here. Also, when I come in, I can select the environment over here. I can select there's any solutions. And what it tells me right off the bat is that system administrator, who are the system administrators over there? What access to the entities they have? And all of this information. It really helps me to kind of get a good overview of what's going on. I'll also show you another tool. It's right over here. So remember, this was the access security roles. Now in the XRM Toolbox, there's another one called User Security Manager. Now again, I already have the User Security Manager, so I'm just going to scroll down and get it. But what you would be able to do is you can go ahead and grab that from the loading and connect and get to the app, and that's basically how you do it. So yep, User Security Manager, select that. It says, oh, you want to go ahead and update now? I'll say, no thanks, I'll remind me later. And it came over here. It actually remembered the other connection that I did. So now I'm just going to say load users, and it's going ahead and getting the data from CRM. And now let me go and grab me. So if I go and select mine, this is fantastic, because in one shot I can do two things. I can see for that user, for that specific environment, I can go ahead and grab all the information. So when I click on it, I can see, yep, Daniel has access to that environment. He is a system administrator, and then it gives me all that other information. But let's not stop here. Through the XRM Toolbox, I can actually go ahead and even change the user's access level. And that's something that I really like over there. Now, this is a very important tool because you can break a lot of things as far as permissions go, so use it wisely, but it's got some fantastic built-in functionality. So definitely a place like in the access security roles over there, great place to go ahead and see all the information really fast and get a good understanding of it. But over here, you again get all the information, see everything fast, but just use it carefully, because over here you can literally come and break somebody's permissions right down to taking them environment and things like that. So it's definitely a one-stop shop as far as permissions go, but just use it wisely, and it's free. And like you said, when I went ahead and opened up the User Security Manager, it went ahead and opened it up and even told me that new updates are coming up, right? So those were the two tools that I have. Now let's switch gears and talk about the scripts. So if you remember in my slide deck, I actually said that there are two types of scripts over there. So in the scripts, I'm going to show you the first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come here and I'm going to type PowerShell. And I always do the PowerShell ISE. Just by old habits, I right click and run as administrator just in case it needs it. But you don't really have to do that. you will have to go ahead and at least install it. The other thing you need to do is, if you're going to start using those PowerShell scripts, what you need to do is come over here to the PowerShell support. I've got that link down over here, and it tells you how to go ahead and install the PowerShell module into your Power App. So it's got a full explanation of how you can go ahead and do that, what are the tasks required, just the whole things about that. And I've gone ahead and provided that information over here. So I'm not going to cover that. I just am going to provide you the links because there's some ways that you need to do it. And the installation steps are really straightforward. So it tells you, go over here, run as an administrator. See, it told you exactly what I did, which means that you will need local admin on your laptop or your company device the first time. So kind of keep that in mind. And then it just goes through and installs the module. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, when you go to the PowerShell support, which is basically the same page, you just scroll down. The one formula that I really like is download Power Apps User Details. And that gives me the information of a particular user across all the environments. Remember the two tools that the XRM tool that I showed you didn't have that functionality. You would have to open up all the environments or find that one tool in there to actually help you do that. But in this one, I can go ahead and do that. So let me show that to you. There's a little bit of tricks involved in that, but I'm going to walk you through that one as well. All right. So I've gone ahead and opened this up, and I'm going to use that formula. And what I've done is I've just tweaked that formula to basically match my environment, my tenant. So over here it says get admin power apps user details, the output file, wherever you want to put it, and then the user principal name or the UPN, and basically all that account information. What I've done is I've actually grabbed something similar, and I'll open this up. I'm just going to open up a temporary place to put my code or my Power App PowerShell for one line over there. It's just a one line, and this is what it is, right? So now I'm just going to highlight that since it's only one. I could actually run it because it's only one line, but just my old habits of highlighting the line and running this one section over here. Now it's going ahead and running it, but because it's talking to your tenant, the authentication box opens up. Very similar to what we just did in the XRM toolbox, is that it doesn't automatically go ahead and hit things. So it's not that it's a non-secure or something that should concern security teams. No, it directly authenticates. So it does have the user touch involved over there. Now let me go ahead and put in my authentication information. So let me grab my username, put my username in. Next, go ahead and put my password name in. Next. Now, again, just as a reminder, I have a Power Platform admin role over here. So that's why I'm able to go and run all this. You don't need that full global admin over there, although that will work. Again, Dynamics 365 role will also work, but I've just gone ahead and done my Power Platform admin role. So it went ahead and ran it, and the output file is now a text file, which came in this location. So let me go look at it. It's in my D drive, and in my D drive, here is the text that just came through. Now, if I open up the text, it's just a whole bunch of information, all right? And that's why in my slide deck, it says that it kind of gives you a little bit more information. But I can still make use of this information thanks to Excel. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to open up my Excel. And just as you can see, mine is the Office 365 Professional Excel over here. So here I'm going to come in. I'm going to go to my data. In my data, I'm going to get from text CSV. So I click on from text CSV. And I'm going to go and grab my files. It was in the D drive. That's the one, the text file. I'm going to go ahead and import it. Now, when I import it, it's going ahead and doing all this fun stuff and everything, and it's getting all the information in, but this is what it does. It puts it as one line. And again, that can be confusing, right? I mean, that was a lot of data all in one line. Gets a little interesting. But again, beauty of Excel is I can now go and select this transform data. So I select the transform data, and it opens up the Power Query Editor. Some of the Power BI people who've looked at this like, you know what, this looks a lot like the Power BI desktop. And to some extent, it actually is. It's very similar to that. Has the same look and feel. All right, so when it opened up the Power Query Editor, go to the Transform menu over there. And in the Transform menu, just select Transpose. When I select Transpose, bam, it took it from one line, dropped into nice rows, and now I can actually read this information. So everything is good. I can go to Home. I can go Close and Load. It goes ahead and makes all the connection and everything, gives me some information over here. But now I can read the information, all right? So I know that all the apps which are across my entire environments, all the environments, and it gives me some information, like I said, if anybody shared the app, who was the person who shared it? Because in this case, it says Kevin shared the app with someone. So it says an app was shared with you. So that's a good information that it gives over there. It gives me other things, which is a lot more information than I need. That's why I kind of mentioned that in the previous slide deck, that this has got a lot of information. I mean, it gives me right down to the app's URL, right down to the tenant ID, the environment ID, and even the app ID over there. Just a lot of information over there. Information that I don't even need. But here's the thing that I want, which I don't have over here. It doesn't give me the environment name. So granted that I have all the app name, which is right here, the app display name. I've got the person who created it, whether it was shared or not. All that information, but I don't have a clear way to find out that environment. So yes, this is a great quick way to find out something really fast. But as far as me doing some administrative work, this can be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm going to take this to the next level. Now remember, if you already have the Center of Excellence, then definitely you don't need this. But if you're in that stage where, hey, I'm putting the Center of Excellence like 2 weeks down the road, I still need something right now, then this next thing is going to be helpful. This is obviously a first place to go, just to identify, do I even have an app with that name, or do I have a user or a maker who's building that? So if you just want those two simple things, this is what you come over here, because it doesn't give you the full environment information, but it provides that information. All right, so I'm going to now go ahead and close this. I won't save it, and I'm going to open this one again, and I'm going to show you a new tool. Well, it's not new, but it's a fantastic PowerShell that is available over here, and it is actually available in the Microsoft, see, 2020 Microsoft Corporation, in the PowerShell gallery. Now I put the link to this URL down over here, and what it does is it actually has a kind of a PowerShell script which is packaged together, and it says new Power Apps overview. And there's one for Power Apps, there's one for Flow as well, but I'm going to focus more on the Power App side over here, well, because across the environments. Now there's two ways to do this. You can go ahead and get the entire package. By the way, a big shout out to the owner over here who went ahead and shared this. Thank you for Martin Peters for going ahead and sharing this with us. Thank you so much for that. All right, so we come over here, and there's two ways. There's going ahead and actually getting the entire PowerShell PS1, or you can go ahead and download this as a package. And when you first time run it, which is the installed script, it goes ahead and basically takes that module and already adds it to your existing PowerShell module, which means in the future, you don't have to run this entire script. It just has that PowerShell code already. It's added to your PowerShell module. And so in the future, when you run this, you just put in whatever was the syntax, and it runs. However, if you don't have access to do that, there's a workaround, and the workaround is what I'm going to show you. So basically, you come over here, and I can click on this, just the link, and it shows you the entire code, which is fantastic. Another great reason for being part of the community, because community people share the information. So again, a big shout out to Martin over here, because he actually shared all this stuff over there. So this is what I did. I went ahead and grabbed this code over here. I copied it from there, and I went ahead and I'm going to open it up right now into my PowerShell's code. If I can't find that, I basically come in, actually it's easier if I just go up, and I click on that, and I drag it down with my mouse clicked, and right up to the end, in fact right up to the bottom, Control C, open up my module. I can actually delete this piece, Control V, all right? And then you can go ahead and save that file, the PS1 file, anywhere. All right, so now that I've got this, let me just go ahead and hit run. Now that I'm running this entire script, I don't use this one, just the run selection. I use the entire run, and it went ahead and ran it. And now right here, it's asking me to log the path. Log the path is basically it saying, Daniel, give me the place where I can drop the data. That's the path that it's asking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in my D:\\. I don't actually need that slash. I can just hit that. And now, again, the authentication box opens up. What this tells you that it's very secure. That the that script is not some kind of rogue script and it's going to go ahead and terrorize your tenant. It is basically still getting the information that I'm telling you for that apps, but it cannot do anything until you authenticate it. So that user touch is very important. So let me go ahead and actually just grab my credentials over here. So I put that in, put my username in, and go ahead and grab the password, put the password in, sign in, and now it is doing its thing. I mean, it doesn't tell you that it's doing it. All I can see is the cursor blinking over there. So it's doing it. Once it's done, it'll actually come up with the text over there. So let's just let it do its thing. Let's not mess with it, and bam, it's done. It basically says that it went ahead and created that HTML file, and in 5 seconds it'll go and open it up. And here you go. It went ahead and gave you information. So let's actually go through this. All right. So it says it's a Power Apps report. It gave you a date. And here is the first thing, is it said, here are all the environments. That's the display name of your environment. That's the actual environment ID. It gives you the SKU, if it was a trial environment, if it was a sandbox, if it was what kind, gives you that information. Was it a production one? Was it all that? Regions, created by, a created date, created by. And then here, a list of all the apps, display name, environment IDs. By the way, this environment ID is the same thing as this internal name over here. And then all this other information, when it was created by, when was the last modified by, all these dates and times. It's just fantastic information. So if you just want to view it and just do a quick search, then it opened up in your browser. You can do a Control F, you can do a search, and you're all done. But I want to end with that little extra wow factor. So watch me do this, all right? I'm going to click on start, and I'm going to open up Excel, because I'm going to just take this data, clean it up just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and open that in Power BI. And you can really make that nice report over there, literally in less than 5 minutes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on top over here. I'm just going to highlight this section. So kind of be cautious on how you highlight it. Highlighted it, I did Control C for copy, came over here. And now in that paste, I'm using this one, right? Not that one, I'm using this one. And while I'm here, I'm going to call this, change the display name to environment name, all right? Everything else, I can actually go, I can even go and change this to environment ID, and I'm good. Now, in order for me to import this into Power BI, I'm going to just highlight this just to be careful. I'll come over here. I'll go ahead and make that as a nice format. And in the format, I'm going to call this as main data. All right, so that's good. You can even change this name to same match. Quickly did that. And I'm going to open up a next tab because I want to get the rest of the data in. So let's go back again to my data. And here I'm going to grab the remaining. So grab, let me get more of it. Grabbing, going all the way to the end right here, do a Control C, come into Excel, make sure I'm in that sheet, paste, second one, and again, display name, I'm going to change that to the app name. That way I just know what's going on. Here, environment, I'm going to go ahead and change that to the environment ID. I think I'm all good. So I'll just go ahead and now grab all of this information, make it into a nice table format. Yeah, that's fine. Here I'll call data. Let's just call that as data. Change, call that as data. And I'm going to go and save this right now back to that same location where I even had the data dump that I did, the Excel spreadsheet, the HTML file. So right now that it came in as book one, you could have named it something else. I could have named it something else. All right, so next, let me just go ahead and close this Power BI, and yeah, don't save. And I'll go ahead and open up my new Power BI. Open it up really fast. It's opening. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I can go ahead and close this, or I can use get data. So I'll just do that, but I'm going to use Excel over here. In the Excel, I'm going to grab that Excel, opening it up. It'll first even ask me where you want, which other sheets that you want. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and select. It's kind of interesting how we did that because we only named it to like the main data and the data, but these other names came up as well. But I know which ones they are, so I'll just select that and I'll do load. So it goes ahead and loads it. It'll tell you the fields over here, but we're going to go ahead and do some more magic in the relationships. That is where the power of BI comes up over here. All right. So I had to finish loading. It said it's loading it. Tells me the fields over here. I can come on this tab and I can actually get a quick review of the data. Data is good for both the main and the data, but this is the one that I want to make some change. So it already went ahead and did something. See, actually I select that over here, highlight it, and I went ahead and got the two environment IDs matched over there. And this is why I went ahead and did the renaming over there. You can go ahead and grab the environment IDs. I can also have gone ahead and change the environment name, but this was the main reason I went ahead and did it over there. Now, if you forgot to do that, it's completely fine. You can come over here and you can select that. And you can, while you've got the mouse down selected, you can drag and drop. Basically, you can build your relationships over here. So now I'm going to come back over here, and let's just, for the sake of ease, let's drop a table. And in the dropping of the table, the first thing I'm going to do is let me open this up a little bit more so you can see the names. And I'll go ahead and first get the main data. And in the main data, I'm going to grab the environment name. That's the big thing that I want from the main data because it had the environment names. But now that I've set up these relationships, I can come over here and I can go ahead and now grab the app name. I can go ahead and also see, while I did that, the environment names automatically matched over there. Now remember that HTML file, in fact, we should be able to go and look at that here. In the HTML file, when I look at it, the data over here, its environment names are always those GUIDs. Even though, I mean, yes, I have that GUID over here and I've got this relationship with the name, it's kind of messy a little bit, but Power BI solves that problem for me. So I come over here straight away, and now I can go and get all this other stuff. We can go ahead and get what is the URL, when was it created, who created by, and I've got the environment names created right down to the person, created by, the whole information. So quickly what I can do is I can come over here now and I can go ahead and add a slicer. In the slicer, I can put in actually the environment name. So I can go ahead and now drop the environment name. So based on the environment name, it goes ahead and gets filtered. I can go and drop another slicer, and in the slicer, I can go ahead and now put in created by, all right? And so there, in one shot, I can now go ahead and filter it based on the environment. I can go ahead and filter it based on the name. And I can finally even end with just getting a quick count of how many, how much data, apps have been built by this one person. So I got this over here. This is the card utilization. I'm going to go ahead and get the in the data created by. And in the created by, I'm going to actually change the field from first created by to actually the count. And now quickly, I know that there's 27 apps across my entire environment over here. If I want to see how many were actually created by, say, Emily, I can click on Emily. I said, yep, Emily created 4. These are the app names and the environments it was created in. So let's quickly review all that we did. We went ahead and looked at 2 options to get user permissions at the environment or at the app level. I showed you those 2 really neat tools, the Center of Excellence, which is free, or the XRM Toolbox, which is also free. Center of Excellence, requires a little bit of work involved over there. XRM Tool, most of them was at the environment level. But then I switched gears and talked about the scripts. So I showed you the 2 very interesting scripts. The first one was literally just 1 line, but that only gave me app level information, user level information, but it was difficult to find out the environment. Plus, the data was a little bit too much information. But I finally ended with that 1 script which was available over there. It's easy to run. Best if you have a Power Platform admin level role. Ran it, and then I ended it by showing that the data that comes in, I can quickly go ahead and make a report literally in less than 5 minutes, and you have all that data to present over there. Now you have the information about that user. So in case you need to find out where all that user has access and where all do I need to go and search for that access, I'm able to go ahead and use that data over there. So hopefully it's so helpful to you. And as always, keep power apping.